good at period dramas in the UK, particularly on the telly, from the Forsyte saga in the 1960s through all those Dickens and Austen adaptations, then the international phenomenon that was Downton, and now the much-anticipated return of Poldark. The series based on the Winston Graham novels, set in the 18th century, following Ross Poldark, a Cornish mine owner who struggles against injustice in business and in the brutal class system. While Aidan Turner's torso seemed to hypnotise the headline writers in last year's series, memorable, absorbing period drama is obviously about great acting and scripting. But that all rests on the unseen work of a large crew whose job it is to get the details right. And an overlooked detail for most viewers is the food.
I seem to have interrupted a party. Is this in honour of the peace or the next war?
Pay attention and you'll see there in a lot of scenes simple daily meals to the grand feasts used to mark the seasons.
We were just passing, Francis, so we'd come and offer the compliments of the season.
If we're intruding, we can easily depart.
Damn my nostrils, though. What do I scent? Swan? Partridge?
Interestingly, the Poldark production team this year asked food writer and stylist Genevieve Taylor to create many of the feasts for the series. Period drama was a new experience for her, so she invited us along to record the adventure, revealing some of the secrets of what it takes to create authentic food in film and TV. What goes into creating those details that convince us almost unconsciously that this is real and serious stuff we're watching?
So, I've got the scripts here for Poldark, Series 2, and I've been working through them, and today's plan is to start off by making some kind of glacéed whole fruits. It's already not gone to plan because there's lots of snippets of recipes on the internet and I'm trying to wing it a tiny bit with what's going on. So one recipe told me to blanch my whole plums and then you proceed to sort of put them in sugar syrup. But that's gone wrong because the skins have all fallen off them. And I'm going to start again. The slight time pressure is that the Warleggan Christmas, which is what I'm making these for, they start shooting it in a week, and I think the Christmas food is in about 10 days, so that's my time scale. But I got a whole Christmas banquet to get ready in that time.
Genevieve's role is to research, source ingredients and recreate dishes, both edible and fake, to make food look beautiful and historically convincing. Before she began the new project, she talked to the production's historical advisor, 18th century specialist Hannah Gregg from the University of York.
One of the things that we see happening in this period is a separation off of a dining room in a house. So you begin to get the idea of dining on your own rather than having a great hall that you might have in a kind of early modern or medieval house where the whole household comes together.
Okay.
In the 18th century, we get all these separate rooms and a dining room is one of them. But the Harvest Supper is a place where a community still comes together to celebrate together, and it's about different social ranks all having participated in that process.
Yeah. Onto that specialist knowledge, Genevieve added her own research and her own particular skills.
I'm a food stylist. Basically, I make food look nice for cookery books. I do a lot of animation work for adverts where it's got food that needs to move or whatever. Anywhere where you might see an image of food. I'm boiling some water now, and I've added quite a good handful of salt into there. And this is to start making the wet suckets, which are the whole preserved citrus. So I've got oranges, limes and lemons. The salt in the water should help it keep the colour. They were quite a common thing in Georgian time, and it's basically candied fruit in syrup. From what I've read, they were often whole, and you would cut them open, and there's these things called sucket forks, which are kind of got a two-pronged fork at one end and a sort of scoopy spoony bit at the other end, to fish the fruit out of the syrup and then open them up and use the spoon to sort of take out the flesh. But you also ate the kind of candied skin, much like we would put candied peel into a cake or a mince pies. It's that kind of very Christmassy sort of flavours, and I think they were really popular then.
But some of the recreations demand extra equipment, and Genevieve's had a delivery.
So these are some fish jelly moulds I found. They're clearly not Georgian because they're made of plastic, but, you know, all the traditional moulds are either in museums or private antiques collections, and I'm going to try and set some salmon inside. What else have we got in this box? Oh, these are exciting. It's like a nest of jelly moulds. So I've got 3. I've got one that's supposed to be like a melon, and then this one's supposed to be like a pineapple. Pineapple was like the ultimate symbol of sort of wealth. The Georgians, when they're having some sort of ball, they do all their dancing, and whilst that's happening, there's a sort of big spread of food. Sometimes it could be up to 200 different dishes, and it's a real mixture of sweet and savoury, and kind of sweetmeats and cakes and fruit and kind of jellies and blancmanges. So it's all about the whole feast looking like it was absolutely abundant and opulent, because that's what signified wealth, really. And the Warleggans were sort of, we would call them a kind of nouveau riche family. They had a lot of money and they liked to show that they had a lot of money. So what I'm doing is just thinking about, abundance and colours, and making it all look quite kind of bling. So great big 3-tiered wedding type cake I'm going to make. Big raised pies as well. So you imagine a pork pie that we would eat today. They kind of had pork pie with bells on, because they would put whole chickens or whole birds, and these things could be massive, massive, massive things. And the pastry was very intricate, almost like a sort of piece of art, really. And you weren't supposed to eat the pastry. It was just a kind of case for cooking the meat in. And then you'd slice the pastry off, fill it with gravy, and then you'd just eat the inside. So it all has to look pretty fancy. Yeah, this is not simple home cooking.
We left Genevieve experimenting with the wet suckets, rolling out icing and making marzipan fruits. But, as is always the way with Christmas, pretend or otherwise, it's always nearer than you think.
Right, it's 7 in the morning and it's jelly day, it's filming day, and I took a load of cakes and pies and stuff down yesterday. But today I've got 2 trays of wobbly jellies, and I've kind of packed them out with tea towels to stop them falling over when we're on the journey.
At a secret filming location in the southwest, Genevieve and the art department arrive early before the rest of the crew to start preparing the scene.
We've arrived at Warleggan House. 3-storey big Georgian pile, and it's looking absolutely stunning in the autumn sort of mist and sunlight. And these massive double doors. Can you imagine living here? It's amazing. Hi Claire, how are you? The sort of area that I'm working in with the florist as well, so there's not a lot of space. There's flowers and there's kind of silverware everywhere. It's a sort of hallway. Here's the finished cake. It literally took me about 10 hours from start to finish. So I covered each of the 3 tiers with the green icing, and then it's got a lot of very elaborate kind of white scrolls and feathers and roses and beading. And in my mind it was like sort of Wedgwood. Early Wedgwood was exactly this era. So I'm kind of happy with that.
Because here's a sofa. The sofas are going here. And the men are going to sit round here and the ladies are going to chat round here, apparently.
Okay.
So
it's not a dinner party, is it?
No, it's just like a show off.
Gathering.
A gathering, and he wants the men chatting and
nibbling.
Yeah.
She's working closely with the set decorator Claire Keat, production buyer Michaela Trodden and florist Philip Core.
Oh, beautiful pictures.
It's reference images of Christmas in the 18th century. Because we have oil paintings to reference, which is lovely.
Claire's job is to sort of source all the props and get them historically accurate and ultimately set the scene. And Phil's the florist, and he's dressing the room with beautiful sort of Christmassy flowers and foliage, and he's going to fill in the gaps, where there's gaps between the food or like this pie here. Have you had to do quite a lot of work about the sort of flowers they would have had in the period?
Yeah, it's taken a lot of research into different techniques and styles, and obviously what they had available, which had quite a lot more than I thought they did.
Yeah.
Because obviously they had all the hot houses and things like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all around them, lighting specialists, makeup artists and scores of other crew have arrived and started work.
Is that real, that food? It is real. It's not enormously edible. I mean, you could eat it. It's hollow inside, though.
So it was mainly pastry?
It's mainly pastry, yeah.
That's amazing.
Because then it will keep... And then the cake here, it's real icing, but it's polystyrene inside.
The gardener on the estate where the scene is being filmed pops in unexpectedly for a quick look and an explanation of what for Genevieve had been a very welcome gift.
And where did these beautiful crab apples come from?
They came from down in the orchard a little bit. That's down in the pleasure grounds, actually. And the medlars. They came from there.
Because I made so many phone calls to try and find medlars, and then I turn up and there's 2 trays of medlars. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, we've got some lovely old medlar trees up there.
How far does this table have to come out for you?
Probably bring it out to be safe. Probably the far end will be roughly where the carpet starts.
Okay.
So I've started to lay out all the food and make it look pretty, but I now need to take it all off the table because they've got to get behind to do a load of wiring for lighting, I suppose. So that's the priority. So the food's coming off again. Everybody's got their job to do, haven't they? And we all need to work around each other. And so I'll just have to wait.
All through the production, historian Hannah Gregg, who's worked on many period dramas, including Jamaica Inn and the Keira Knightley film The Duchess, is at the ready with advice and stories about the way life really was lived and food really eaten in late Georgian England.
What have you brought to show me today, Hannah?
Well, this is an illustration from a book called The Experienced English Housekeeper, 1769, by Elizabeth Raffold. And there's quite a few 18th century cookbooks where they go through everything you could possibly ever want to make. What they often include in these books is a picture of how to lay a table for a very fine supper. So one of the pictures we've got here is that layout of a table which shows actually 25 different plates of food. In the 18th century, all of the food is put on the table at the same time. Everyone sits down and you sort of help yourself to the plates that are nearest to you.
Right.
But it's about the host showing exactly what they could produce.
Yeah.
And so you get a whole array of different sorts of foods. And so you often have a soup at each end, and then roast meats and vegetables and terrines and potted meats and all sorts of different sorts of things all at the same time.
I'm just looking at some of the labels here. It's a bit tricky to read, but we've got beef olives.
Beef olives, boiled turkey.
Yeah.
A small ham.
Yes.
A transparent soup at that end.
A transparent soup, so that would be like a clear broth, I guess. Is that hare?
That's hare soup at that
soup,
end.
yeah.
I think there's a French pig at that end of the table.
I don't know what makes it French. Maybe it came from France.
Once you've finished all of that, the servants take away those dishes and they replace them with another 25. So this time we've got pheasant and roast hare at the ends of the table, sort of the grandest food as conversation pieces. The idea of a separate dessert course is part of an 18th century dinner, but it's very different to how we think of dessert today. It's not just the sweet things at the end of the meal. It's once you've had all of these 50 different sorts of plates of food in front of you, they take everything away, and then you get nuts and sweets and little jellies and little kind of dainties to have, and that's the dessert course. But they'd often be displayed in these very elaborate, fanciful ways. And these are 2 terrines from the Viennese collection, and one looks exactly like a cauliflower.
It does.
The other, I'm sure you'll be well placed to identify, as a bunch of asparagus.
It's kind of like slightly pink asparagus.
And what these kind of terrines would have been used for would actually have been for that dessert course. So your sort of marzipan fruits might have actually been hidden in something like this.
In a cauliflower.
So then they're brought to the table and someone thinks it's a cauliflower, and then they open it up and actually, oh no, look.
So there was a real element of sort of fun and surprise.
Yes, exactly, yes.
And sort of teasing almost.
Yeah, teasing. And so sometimes people made cakes that actually look like meat, or, you know, some way of kind of moving the meal on.
Yeah.
Back on set, the director has come to assess Genevieve's Christmas feast display ahead of the shoot.
So much work, but I'm really pleased, I think. Finish my jellies now.
We want to move the whole lot forward. Possibly. We might dress it to camera and put a camera behind it.
How long does it take?
But the director came and had a look at my food, and he said it was amazing. So that's a massive relief, actually, because I've been worrying that I hadn't made enough, or you know, that they wouldn't be happy with it. It's the first time I've had any direct contact with the director. So it's just after 11 now, and they're rehearsing in the room next door. That's the first scene they're shooting. So I've got the parlour. It's quite calm and quiet now. So I'm going to try and turn out my jellies when I've got a bit of space to do it. Yeah, and I'm just sort of trying to work out how to do that. Right, I'm just going to go for it, I think. Oh, it's on.
It's so stressful, this. I mean, I can do such kind of complicated cooking. It's just that second nature. It's part of my job. But jelly gives me the absolute heebie-jeebies. Right. Hot water in a bowl. Oh, my goodness. It's like having a baby.
And if hot water doesn't work, use a blowtorch.
It's all right. Keep going, you're all right, Wow, yes! Look at that jelly! Wow, and that one came out without collapsing. Are you sure? I am. Oh God, the jelly's collapsed. No, the jelly's collapsing. Oh, no. I should have waited.
Nice and quiet all around, please.
But with a minor fiddle and table rearrangement, it still looks lavish, so good that the director changes his planned opening shot to start directly on the feast.
For a take, stand by, nice and quiet all round, please. We're rolling.
So they're filming right through the food, which is amazing. It's a fantastic kind of thing for me, isn't it? That millions of people are going to be watching this, and that feels like quite an achievement. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed actually. That looks like a great table.
Christmas is soon over. Genevieve's been cooking more delights, both genuine and fake, in her home kitchen, and is now ready to assemble a harvest supper, including a suckling pig.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything on here, so this is where all the food is, and then you've got the others for prep.
So we're at a National Trust house in Wiltshire today. We've got a workstation outside the property. It's just stopped raining, so I'm pleased about that. I've got a sort of a tented canopy to work under and a couple of tables, and there's quite a few dogs walking around, sort of eager-looking Labradors and stuff. I don't want to come in stealing my cake. We've got a suckling pig coming for the centrepiece, and because it's a metre long, I couldn't cook it in my oven, so the butchers have cooked it, basically. This is a harvest festival party. My brief was to make it as sumptuous and luxurious and just a touch debauched. I think little touches of gold and lots of nuts and shiny things. You know, it needs to look really sort of shiny and glistening in the candlelight.
But it's not just the dogs who are on the prowl. Both the gaffer and best boy have been known to make off with nibbles from the edible props.
I'm Chris the gaffer.
Chris is
in
the
charge
gaffer.
of lighting.
I think Chris stole my Welsh cake.
Also in charge of Welsh cakes. Or tasting Welsh cake.
Yeah.
Look at that fish. Did you do that?
I know, yeah, I did, yeah.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to decorate it all. So the suckling pig has arrived. Can we go and have a look at it? Apparently it's quite delicate. Let's have a peek. It's got its seatbelt on in the back of Lauren's car. Oh, it's so warm. Oh my. Yeah, it's fabulous. I love it. It's got crispy little ears. We need to try and work out how to get it on that board.
The only problem is that they're actually filming in front of the set.
Oh.
So we might have to find another way in.
Is there a sort of back entrance to that hall?
Yeah.
You can just see the carriage coming in. The first scene they're filming is on a horse and carriage. So it's this beautiful, two beautiful horses with all their shiny brass on and the carriage. But it's got a chap riding it, taking it through the archway into the main courtyard.
This scene features John Nettles as Ray Panvenon, one of Cornwall's wealthiest landowners, welcoming his niece Caroline, a beautiful and manipulative heiress.
Okay, can we clear the courtyard, please?
Right, we can get into the Great Hall now. We're going to go through the back way because they're still filming at the front and start laying up our big table. 14 foot the table, so I think the big pig's going to go in the middle, and then we'll dress around it. I'm with Rosemary MacDonald here, who's the filming supervisor at the National Trust Properties. I had a bit of a brief here from the production crew saying I'm not allowed to have any red wine or there's not to be any red berries, so I had to design the food around those rules.
From years of experience, we've discovered that not only flowers, some flowers are very dangerous when they ground into the floors, but fruit, anything that has got a good red dye in it, all the red currants and red fruit, and red berries and red wine. Yeah. So we try and persuade film crews to use things that won't, if there's a spill or anything like that, it doesn't matter, it won't do serious damage. We really don't like things like soups with anything with a lot of fat in it. In that room you've got a wooden floor which is well polished, and so it's not such an issue, but on anything like any kind of stone floor you could get the grease in or the red dye in very quickly, and it's really difficult to get out.
And I know the props boys have made kind of fake tabletops to go on top of the beautiful old table.
So we're much less worried.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, here's the pig coming through the archway, followed by a big bowl of quinces and one of nuts, I think. And they're walking the pig across the grass. I'm sure that's not allowed. Oh, and the nuts are falling. I'm going to go and help them.
617, take 2.
Action! Caroline!
All the food is in now into the hall, and my last job is to make an apricot fool and put it in a big kind of high glass dish. So I bought all the separate components. I just need to whisk this up outside here. They've stopped filming now, so I can make some noise.
While Genevieve was busy working, Rosemary MacDonald from the National Trust snuck in to take a final look.
This is really one of the finest displays of food I've seen in any film that I've worked on. Definitely, it's magnificent.
But all is not perfect.
Well, we're just sticking the three layers of fruit tart together.
I know exactly what he's going to say.
Oh, the director's come in. Let's see what he's going to say.
This way.
So this is
going to go like that.
along the back. So we put it all the wrong way around then, because at the moment this is the...
we can move the table round, can't we?
Move the table round.
We're going to be going this way through the food.
Through the food. So we just want to spin the food round, really?
Just more for this way. The food's so lovely.
I don't mean that. I mean that seriously.
So they're just starting to film again, so I might have to whisper. But basically the director will come in and said, yeah, the food looks absolutely amazing. But we're filming it from the other side of the table, so we basically, with food, you dress it. It's always got a good side and not a good side, so we've dressed it one way. So we now need to either turn all the food all round and redress it, or what the director's suggesting is, why don't we just spin the table round, which sounds easy, but this is like a 14-foot solid wood table. 6 big chaps spinning to a bit of direction from the girls. That's amazing. Now I'm starting. I'll get back to building my tart.
So we're all happy again now, yeah?
Thank you, yeah.
Pleasure.
Another potential drama elegantly avoided. An insight into what it takes to get those feasts and more ordinary meals just right for the time. It's all background and it will pass fleetingly, but give it a look and a thought if you're a period drama fan, especially if you're planning to tune into Poldark. Genevieve worked hard to dramatic effect.